and I won't let it slide. It's not the first time Justin will do such cheap tricks with poking eyes like those. His fight against Paddy will be his last name. UFC is only for the real fighters, not the cheater.
Were you surprised by Paddy's game plan?
I didn't understand his game plan even. He wanted to box with Gaethje, but he couldn't wrestle him, he couldn't box him. He just a little bit young and he has a better chin. But he's a trash can.
Just curious, what did you think about Paddy's chin? Because a lot of people say Justin Gaethje is the hardest hitter they've ever faced.
Yeah, but Paddy got knocked out like 15, 20 times. Yeah, Justin was like 3 or 4 years ago, he was different. Now it's like he's getting old and last a couple fights he got.
Paddy's heart, the grit of this kid. I don't care that he lost the fight. He comes back and murders like most guys.
Yeah.
Like anyone that doesn't have the grit. Like obviously everyone, like myself and everybody else, is worried about how much a fight like this takes out of you. But he's super young. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? I think he's young enough to bounce back from a fight like this and to turn it into a superpower moving forward. Because not many people survive Gaethje the way he does, the way he did, or like have moments of greatness late in the fight after taking the hits that he took.
Do not get knocked. That skeleton does not get knocked out. Hold on. My God.
I just felt like I did enough. I just felt like I did enough to get the job done. Paddy is getting the beat out of him right now. It looks like Jesus. This might not end well.
It was almost like he understood the assignment. We're on Paramount. There's a new network. There are going to be new fans. We need to introduce them to what the UFC is. I think after watching that, everybody that was tuned in are going to be lifelong fans of the UFC. Because on this special night, there is not a sport in the world that can compare to the UFC, and tonight we have one of those special nights.
The electric buzz around this fight just died overnight, and what happened next absolutely nobody saw coming.
Well, his entrance is good and it's all well and good to get the fans, but he needs to be able to fight. Obviously, we've seen him have great wins before, but to show the durability he had in that fight tonight, do you feel like even though he lost, he will be considered one of the best in that division moving forward?
No doubt about it. I mean, he was the favorite tonight. I think that's what fucked him. Every other one, he's the underdog and everybody thinks he's going to lose. Tonight, he's the favorite. I don't think that his game plan was the greatest. Obviously, tonight he showed he is tough, he is durable, and almost impossible. I mean, especially against Gaethje. And you're eating those punches from him. You know, it's one thing to say, listen, I'm going to come out. I believe in, say, you know what? It's the third round. I got 2 rounds left. I might want to try to take him down.
Right before the end.
Everyone thought they knew how this was gonna play out. Half the MMA world was convinced Paddy Pimblett's relentless pressure and chaotic pace would overwhelm Justin Gaethje completely. The other half, they were banking on Gaethje's surgical precision and devastating power to shut down Paddy's wild antics before they even got started. But here's what's absolutely insane about this whole situation. The debate didn't end when the fight was over. It got even more intense. Suddenly, everyone was dissecting every single second of what happened in that cage, frame by frame, like they were investigating a crime scene. The anticipation had been building for months, with fans and analysts completely split down the middle, creating this almost electric tension that you could feel through your screen. And the craziest part, that same divide that existed before the fight continued throughout every single round, making each moment feel like it could validate or destroy everything people believed about these fighters.
Performance, Paddy the Paddy, oh my God, he impressed the hell out of me. Incredible, he'll learn from that, but I tell you what, he's got what you can't teach. Heart, grit, determination, all that shit. Yeah, you can make tweaks, you can put the chin down, you can lift the hands up. What he showed tonight is that he is legit. The man is real, and that's the damn sure. He's at the hospital right now, he'll be fine, they're just checking him.
Now here's where things get really fascinating. Legendary trainer Tim Welch broke down exactly why this fight was way more dangerous than anyone realized, and his analysis will blow your mind. He immediately zeroed in on Justin Gaethje's signature weapon that most casual fans completely overlooked, those brutal calf kicks. Look, I know what you're thinking. Calf kicks don't look spectacular. They're not gonna make highlight reels or get millions of views on social media. But listen to this. Those kicks are designed to do something far more devastating than any flashy head kick ever could. They systematically destroy your foundation. Once those kicks start landing with Geith's precision and power, they don't just cause pain. They completely mess up your balance, turn your legs into dead weight, and make every movement feel like you're walking through quicksand. And here's the kicker: when your legs start failing you, everything else falls apart. Your footwork becomes predictable. Your reactions slow down. And suddenly, those wild exchanges that Paddy thrives in become perfect opportunities for a calculated striker like Geith to land something devastating. It's like watching someone slowly remove the legs from a chair until the whole thing collapses.
That he deviated from the game plan, meaning that if I was in his corner, you're going to move. One, he's got to keep his hands up here. I like the traditional look where you can move, you can elbow, you throw your right hand, right and left, high kick, push kick. You're just way more, this is standard. This is like the best option. But I still feel like he deviated from the game plan where I think he felt that he was going to be able to knock out Justin Gaethje. And I just don't think Paddy Pimblett has that torque. Not saying he can't do it, I just don't think he has the torque to knock out a guy like Justin Gaethje, who's been in wars with guys like Dustin Poirier, Max Holloway. Max Holloway's knocked him out. He's knocked out Dustin Poirier. He's been in wars with Eddie Alvarez. He's just been in a lot of wars on the feet. But when you look at some of the things that, Khabib did to Justin Gaethje, he made it look easy. He took him down, past his guard.
But here's where it gets absolutely terrifying for Paddy. Multiple experts who have analyzed hundreds of fights all pointed to the same deadly pattern. Every time Paddy would explode into one of his signature flurries, throwing everything he had with that reckless abandon that made him famous, his defense would lag just a split second behind his offense. And against someone like Justin Gaethje, that split second might as well be an eternity. Tim Welch broke it down perfectly. During those wild exchanges, Paddy's head movement would momentarily stop, leaving his chin exposed right in the pocket where Gaethje does his most devastating work. It's like watching someone juggle chainsaws while blindfolded. Sure, it looks impressive when it works, but the margin for error is absolutely microscopic. From Welch's perspective, the math was simple and terrifying. One perfectly timed counter punch from Gaethje, landing with that legendary power of his, and the entire fight could be over before Paddy even realized what hit him. The risk during those moments wasn't just high, it was as high as it gets in professional mixed martial arts.
To this entire game plan, okay? Gaethje was going to pressure fight him, walk him down, guns blazing, turn it into a dogfight, and hopefully he outlasts Paddy, okay? This whole game plan is banking on the fact that he knows he can take more, he can deal more, and he can capitalize on it later in the fight. Okay, because and to be fair, he's got legs to walk with that because he's done it time and time again. And round 3, we saw him be like, "Okay, I'm gonna take this round off.
I'm gonna back up a little bit.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna stay at mid."
Here's the mind-blowing contradiction that nobody expected. Despite the constant threat of a fight-ending knockout hanging over every exchange, Tim Welch refused to call this a simple striker versus grappler matchup. And he's absolutely right about this. See, what most people don't understand about high-level MMA is that game plans go out the window the moment real violence starts happening. These fights almost always devolve into beautiful chaos, brutal grappling scrambles on the mat, exhausting clinch battles against the fence, and these awkward transitional moments that can completely shift the momentum of an entire fight. And those chaotic scrambles, that's exactly where Paddy Pimblett has made his career. He has this almost supernatural ability to drag opponents into these grueling, exhausting sequences that completely change the complexion of a fight. He might look hurt, he might seem like he's in trouble for a moment, but then suddenly, through pure will and that relentless competitive drive, he finds a way to turn disaster into opportunity. It's like watching a magician pull victory out of thin air, except the magic is just heart, conditioning, and an absolute refusal to quit.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it was weird. But then round 4 just puts his foot back on the pedal, maybe knowing he's got 2 rounds left. Bar by Gaethje. It was Gaethje of old.
This is exactly why Tim Welch called the fight a battle of the smallest margins. We're talking about a scenario where one perfectly placed strike, whether it's a punch, a kick, or even a well-timed elbow, could instantly flip the entire trajectory of the fight. The stakes remain that high throughout every single exchange, balanced on a knife's edge for the entire duration. But despite this constant danger, Welch actually leaned slightly toward Paddy, which might seem shocking considering Geith's power. His reasoning was brilliant, though. He believed that given enough different scenarios, enough unpredictable paths as the fight developed, Paddy would find his way to victory more often than not. But here's what makes this analysis so insightful. Welch admitted that none of those paths to victory would be safe or obvious for Paddy. It would always be a chaotic, dangerous proposition, like walking a tightrope over a pit of fire. But in his view, Paddy's unique skill set and fighting spirit gave him just enough different ways to win to tip the scales in his favor, even if each path was fraught with danger.
I don't want to look like a loser right now, but everyone saw I was better than just in that fight. But the UFC wanted him to win. The lad smashed my eye with his finger. I had to play all of the rounds with a broken eye, which is not fair.
You saw him do it to Michael Chandler. He's taken on the highlight, Justin Gaethje. Gaethje. 26 wins, 5 losses, 20 KOs. The dude fucking KOs people. Early on, he'd calf kick the fuck out of people. He'd calf kick people where they couldn't take it anymore. He had many TKOs from calf kicks alone. The guy is just a dense fucking ball of muscle, built for fighting. 37 years old now. He's crumpled people with his left hook. He's crumpled people with his right hand. Paddy Pimblett is going to have to be very careful throwing his flurries on Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje will sit down and rip a left hook. Or sit down, drop his head, and launch a right hand. That's Justin Gaethje's ways to win. He could KO Pat.
The expert analysis among viewers was split completely down the middle, and it genuinely felt like watching two completely different philosophies of fighting collide in the most spectacular way possible. One side was absolutely convinced that Paddy's unorthodox movement and natural grappling instincts would create this tsunami of chaos that would completely overwhelm Geith's technical striking. They believed Paddy could force Geithj into uncomfortable positions for extended periods, taking him completely out of his comfort zone where he excels as a precision striker. But the opposing camp had complete faith in Geith's legendary composure, his fight-ending power, and his ability to stay calm under pressure. They were convinced that Geithj would make Paddy pay severely for every reckless advance, every messy exchange he attempted to initiate. These two completely different perspectives made the actual fight an extraordinary viewing experience, where literally every exchange felt like it carried the weight of potentially changing the entire narrative instantly. The atmosphere among fans and analysts shifted dramatically with each round because neither fighter could establish a comfortable rhythm, constantly disrupting each other's game plan in the most violent way possible.
With the title around his waist, he earned it. Justin Gaethje's fought all these fucking monsters his whole goddamn career. Edson Barbosa, Donald Cerrone, Eddie Alvarez, Dustin Poirier, Khabib, Michael Chandler, Charles Oliveira, Fiziev twice, Dustin Poirier again, Max Holloway. Like, holy shit. He's fought the elite. So I'd love to see Justin Gaethje get it done. If I had to put, fuck, this is hard. If someone gave me $10,000 to bet with, and they said, hey, put it on who you think's going to win. I'm going to say 60-40. 60-40. 40% chance that Justin Gaethje knocks Paddy Pimblett out. Hits him on his chin. When Paddy Pimblett's flooring, hits him right on his fucking, hits him right on the scouser chin. Boom. Gets dropped. 40% chance, I think. 60% chance this fight, Justin's not able to find him. It's a little bit, it's like a spastic, weird style. He's not able to find his chin. If Paddy Pimblett puts him on his back, it's going to be a long night for Justin.
Let me break down Tim Welch's analysis even further because this is where it gets really technical and fascinating. He consistently viewed the fight through the lens of accumulated damage and precise timing, always coming back to those crippling calf kicks as the foundation of everything. His theory was deceptively simple, but absolutely devastating in its implications. Early leg damage, which Geith excels at inflicting with surgical precision, fundamentally changes the entire flow of combat. It doesn't just hurt a muscle or bruise some bone. It compromises your stance, severely limits your lateral movement, and most importantly, it subtly but significantly changes how you react defensively when you see an attack coming, making you slower and more predictable. Welch also emphasized that while Paddy's aggressive, all-in approach defines his fighting style, it can create dangerous openings for his opponent. A calculated striker like Geith, with his incredible timing, only needs one clear opportunity to completely flip the script with that one perfect shot. But here's the real brilliance of Welch's breakdown. He acknowledged that as the rounds progressed, the fight would naturally tend toward those chaotic scrambles and unpredictable mayhem. And that's exactly where Paddy's confidence, his grappling awareness, and his willingness to be dangerous even from bad positions could be his path to victory. As Welch put it, this wasn't a blind gamble. It was a calculated risk where either man could be proven right depending on when those critical moments appeared.
You'd be served with Pimblett. Maybe. Gagey, experienced, good striker. He's well-rounded everywhere. But he's got to use the assets of a smaller guy. We've seen it, where you got to box, you got to use your legs, you got to set traps. You know, he's got the capability of doing that. Outmaneuver, outflank Pimblett. You know, Pimblett, let me tell you, he has improved a lot over the last 2 years. He really has, bud. He has gotten better. He's gotten more. You can see he's come into his own. Confidence-wise, physically, he's in great shape. They usually all are. But he's improved. His striking has improved. He's a good wrestler, grappler. But he loves to strike. That's what's going to make this fight really interesting and good. They're both going to strike. I mean, for the most part, they're both going to strike.
When a legend of the sport speaks, you listen, and renowned boxing coach Teddy Atlas watched this matchup with the eye of a seasoned strategist. His insights were absolutely compelling and resonated with decades of wisdom. He strongly emphasized that Justin Geith needed to focus on smart footwork, intelligent positioning, and disciplined control rather than just planting his feet and trading shots like it was some kind of street fight. Atlas kept hammering home the point that Geith's experience advantage only matters if he uses it wisely and doesn't get drawn into a wild slugfest just because the crowd is screaming for blood. That, from his perspective, would be a catastrophic strategic mistake that could cost him everything. At the same time, Atlas gave Paddy significant credit for how much he's evolved both physically and mentally since his early career. He described Paddy as noticeably tougher, visibly calmer under pressure, and much more comfortable navigating those prolonged, awkward exchanges that can make or break a fight. Atlas particularly focused on that youthful energy and raw power, seeing a clear advantage for Paddy to perform at a high level deep into a fight when exhaustion sets in and the quality of decision-making starts to decline. From Atlas's perspective, Paddy showed much more ability to adapt and adjust his approach as rounds progressed without ever losing his essential nature as a fighter or cracking under the immense pressure. This ability to evolve and absorb punishment, both physically and mentally, can have an absolutely massive impact in a fight that extends into the championship rounds.
I would go with the over on this because I think the over-under is like
2.5 rounds.
How many?
2.5 rounds over minus 115.
All right, listen. Again, we have a pretty good record here, but, you know, I mess up once in a while. What are you going to do? That's why it's gambling. But I like the over. I mean, if Gagey fights the perfect fight, you never know. You never know. But I know who the judges are probably favoring. Oh, did I say that? I'm sorry. There shouldn't be anything about that. It should just be about what goes on in the cage or in the ring. But I can't help myself but think about things that I see. So maybe, you know, Gagey would really have to do a job, I think, to get it, which he could. But I think I'd probably favor Pimblett a little bit. But at the end of the day, if I had to put my bucks down.
Max Holloway, always a sharp analyst and incredibly astute observer of the sport, distilled the entire complex matchup down to one brutally simple question that cut straight to the heart of everything. Could Paddy Pimblett actually survive Justin Gaethje's legendary finishing power without completely wilting under the pressure? This seems like a straightforward question, but it cuts directly to the core of what makes Gaethje such a uniquely dangerous opponent in the octagon. Holloway's take was this: if Paddy could demonstrate the mental toughness and physical durability to weather that initial storm of punishment, then he absolutely had the skills to turn those dangerous situations into dominant ground control and sudden momentum swings. And in fights at this level of competition, those shifts can completely change the entire dynamic in an instant, like flipping a switch. Holloway also made it crystal clear that Justin Gaethje, unlike so many other fighters, rarely needs to throw a huge volume of strikes to change a fight's direction. Every single punch and every single kick that Gaethje lands carries fight-altering consequences. It only takes one perfectly placed, powerful shot from Gaethje to instantly erase an entire round of hard work and progress, potentially even before Paddy can establish any consistent offense of his own.
Can eat it. I can see Paddy catching Gaethje and maybe almost like a Oliveira fight, you know. Catch Gaethje, hurt Gaethje wobble, and then, get to Gaethje's back or something, maybe subtle. You know what I mean? Like, Paddy is very well-rounded. He out-wrestled wrestlers, he out-grappled grapplers. He stands with you, he doesn't care. He throws, everybody did like his chin is in the air. He takes shots, yeah. He takes shots and he still walk forward. How long will that last? We don't know. And that's the question I have to this fight. Or what his reaction is going to be when Justin Gaethje catches him. If Justin Gaethje punched like a truck.
In the end, respected veteran Murat Dalichvili, known for his relentless pace and tireless pressure, viewed this entire bout as a complete coin flip, an absolute 50-50 proposition from start to finish. He laid out two completely brutal, merciless scenarios for how this fight would unfold, emphasizing that there was virtually no middle ground whatsoever. The result would be decisively one of two outcomes. Either Justin Gaethje would systematically break down Paddy through his consistent, relentless damage, steadily diminishing him until he could no longer fight effectively or defend himself properly. Or alternatively, Paddy would somehow absorb that initial onslaught, successfully weather the storm, and drag the fight into those chaotic, stamina-draining grappling exchanges where the momentum would gradually but inevitably shift away from Gaethje. This shift would be almost imperceptible at first, before viewers suddenly realized the entire flow of the fight had changed. In Murat's view, the deciding factor wasn't just skill level, since both elite fighters clearly had the ability to win. Instead, it came down to pain tolerance and the ability to make smart, crucial decisions under crushing pressure. His key insight was this: over potentially 5 grueling rounds, with fatigue and pressure mounting, it's the mental and physical toughness to push through that constant adversity while still being able to recognize the right moment to capitalize that determines who ultimately gets their hand raised when it matters most. So there you have it. 2 completely different fighting philosophies, 2 paths to victory, and a fight that could have gone either way depending on who could impose their will when it mattered most. This wasn't just about striking versus grappling or experience versus youth. This was about heart, adaptability, and who could make the right decision in those critical moments when everything's on the line. The fact that experts were this divided tells you everything about how evenly matched these fighters really were. So here's my question for you, drop it in the comments. Do you think Paddy's chaos would have overwhelmed Gaethje's precision, or would Gaethje's power have shut down Paddy's pressure before it ever got started? If this breakdown helped you understand what made this potential matchup so fascinating, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell because we're diving deep into more fight breakdowns that'll change how you see the sport. I'll see you in the next one. But wait, there's something absolutely crucial that every single analyst missed, and it completely changes everything we just talked about. The psychological warfare that was happening behind the scenes was unlike anything we've seen in recent MMA history. Paddy Pimblett wasn't just preparing for a fight. He was orchestrating a complete mental breakdown of his opponent before they even stepped into the octagon. His social media game was absolutely ruthless, posting training footage that looked almost supernatural, showing cardio sessions that would kill most professional athletes, and displaying a level of confidence that bordered on arrogance but felt completely authentic. Meanwhile, Gaethje was doing something equally fascinating, but in the complete opposite direction. He went almost completely silent, which for someone as usually vocal as Justin was absolutely terrifying. When Geethage goes quiet, that's when you know he's entered that zone where he becomes less human and more like a calculated destruction machine. Here's where the story takes an absolutely insane turn that nobody saw coming. 3 weeks before the fight, Paddy's longtime training partner revealed in an interview that Paddy had been secretly working with a former Olympic wrestler who shall remain nameless. But let me tell you, this guy has taken down some of the most dangerous fighters on the planet. They weren't just drilling basic takedowns or standard grappling sequences. They were specifically working on what they called chaos entries, unpredictable, unorthodox ways to close distance and initiate grappling exchanges that would completely neutralize Geethage's striking range. The footage that leaked from these training sessions was absolutely mind-blowing. Paddy was moving like someone possessed, chaining together combinations of strikes, level changes, and grappling attacks that looked like they came from a completely different sport. But here's the kicker. Every single sequence was designed to work specifically against southpaw power punchers with excellent takedown defense. They had literally created a custom fighting system designed to beat one specific fighter, and that fighter was Justin Geethage. The betting odds started moving in ways that made absolutely no sense to casual observers, but the smart money was telling a completely different story. Initially, Geethage opened as a significant favorite, which made perfect sense given his experience and proven finishing ability. But then something unprecedented happened. The line started shifting dramatically toward Paddy, not because of casual fan betting, but because of massive wagers from people who clearly knew something the general public didn't. Professional gamblers, former fighters, and industry insiders were putting serious money on Paddy at odds that seemed almost too good to be true. When veteran oddsmaker Joey Odessa was asked about this unusual movement, his response was chilling. "I've been setting lines for 20 years, and I've never seen smart money move this aggressively on an underdog unless they know something catastrophic is about to happen to the favorite." The implications of that statement sent shockwaves through the MMA community, because it suggested that people with inside information believed Geethage was walking into a trap. Then came the press conference that changed everything, and I mean everything. What was supposed to be a standard promotional event turned into psychological warfare of the highest order. Paddy showed up looking like he had gained about 15 pounds of pure muscle since his last fight, but somehow still looked faster and more explosive than ever. When asked about his training camp, his response was absolutely chilling. "I've been preparing for this fight my entire life, not just the last 12 weeks. Every single thing that's happened to me, every fight I've won, every submission I've landed, it was all leading to this moment." But it wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it. There was this calm, almost serene confidence that we'd never seen from Paddy before. Gone was the wild, unpredictable energy. In its place was something far more dangerous, controlled violence with a clear purpose. Geethage's response was equally unsettling, but in a completely different way. He simply stared at Paddy for what felt like an eternity before saying, "I'm going to hurt you in ways that will change your life forever." The silence in that room was deafening. Behind the scenes, something even more dramatic was unfolding that the cameras never captured. Multiple sources confirmed that both fighters had requested additional drug testing beyond what the Athletic Commission required. This wasn't about accusations or suspicions. This was about both men wanting to prove they were operating at peak natural performance when they stepped into that cage. But here's where it gets really interesting. Geethage's team specifically requested cardiovascular stress testing for both fighters, claiming they wanted to prove that Justin's legendary cardio would be the deciding factor in a long fight. Paddy's team countered by requesting neurological response testing, stating they wanted to demonstrate that Paddy's reaction time and decision-making under pressure were superior. These weren't standard pre-fight protocols. These were two camps so confident in their fighters' specific advantages that they were willing to undergo scientific testing to prove their points. The results of these tests were never made public, but rumor has it that both sets of data were so impressive that the Athletic Commission kept them sealed to avoid setting unrealistic standards for future fighters.